Do 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 do.
Hello, welcome back to Chitterbug, the least consistent podcast
Ever.
Yeah.
How many episodes have we ever
This is the
done?
third.
Oh, I thought it was the second.
No, this is the third.
Okay. Good to know.
I did mean to do more of these.
You swear?
I swear. I forgot.
It's cool.
I couldn't think of any particular thing to talk about.
I think we had kind of a list of things, but not today.
We have now made a list of things to talk about. Will that mean these will come out more frequently?
No.
I don't know.
I doubt it.
I'll get like 2 a week apart and then nothing for a month, and then you'll get like 7, and you won't see us for the rest of the year.
Just peace out.
Jokes aside, we're actually going to talk about a indie animation show today.
Yep.
In quite the opposite direction of the last time we talked about animation.
Yeah.
This one is, still indie. Has not been picked up by Amazon Prime, despite, I'd arguably say it should.
It probably would do well, but I don't think Glitch Productions wants to do that.
No,
Glitch is very
think
much strongly in like the indie animation,
Yeah. So
improve the scene on YouTube.
Yeah.
Not that that's a bad thing, and not that it's a bad thing to also want your show to be picked up. But
there's pros and cons to both. We're not here to talk about that right now. We're here to talk about murder drones.
If you were thinking we were going to talk about the circus one, there's about a gajillion videos on that. We're going to talk about murder fucking drones now.
Okay. Here's the reason that I specifically did not want to talk about Digital Circus. I love
great.
Digital Circus.
I love it.
Wonderful. Watch it if you haven't already.
There's no way you haven't, but if you somehow haven't.
I somehow doubt you exist if you haven't seen Digital Circus. Here's the thing. It's just a pilot.
It is. Murder Drones has 7 episodes.
Yeah.
If you please do give them some love and support for goodness sakes. But know,
the particular reason I bring up a counter point of talking about Murder Drones over Amazing Digital Circus is not because that just releasing a pilot isn't enough.
Well, it takes time.
It takes time to make these things. We know that Digital Circus is going to have more episodes.
Yeah, guaranteed.
I'd like to wait for those to come out so that we could be like, hey, by the way, Digital Circus, episode 2 is phenomenal.
Yes, yeah, exactly.
Also, as of recording, which is currently a Saturday, the 7th episode of Murder Drones, the
penultimate of the season,
dropped, and it was phenomenal.
It was so good.
It was beautifully animated. The plot punched us in the face and then wouldn't stop hitting us.
Yes, and we got a lot of answers.
Yes.
I did see a couple people still confused, which doesn't surprise me too much, but I completely understood it, and I don't blame anyone who still has issues because, the reveal can be a little,
Watch it a second time if you are still confused.
Watch it a second time. But, yeah.
90% of the time, anytime I've been confused with some piece of animation, it's 100% always been animation. Watching it a second time has pretty much cleared up every question I had. Unless the question was intentionally left unanswered.
Yeah. But yeah, no, it was so good. I know we're not going to talk about spoilers for episode 7 straight away.
Yes.
We should probably talk about the series in general. For anyone who hasn't checked it out, it's here on YouTube from Glitch Productions. Same people who did Digital Circus. Well, sort of. Yeah. They're the sister project. They're the first and oldest sibling.
The channel you can find it on is Glitch. Obviously, if you have seen Mason Digital Circus, same channel. I think like the creator of
Liam Vickers?
Yeah, Liam Vickers also did a different pilot.
CliffSide?
CliffSide. I have seen the pilot for CliffSide. It's very good. I don't think I forced you to watch it yet.
I don't think I've seen it yet. So that's probably homework for me. I need to go watch CliffSide.
Yes.
Support indie animation. Anyway.
But anyway, I bring that up as mostly like, this isn't Liam's first rodeo. Like, you know,
it may be Liam's second.
It might be Liam's second, but like this one really got off the ground. So a quick rundown, if you somehow haven't.
There's a lot of people who haven't seen Murder Drones.
Well, I'm particularly, if you're this far into the video, if you're like 6 minutes in and you haven't paused it to go check out Murder Drones after we told you to check out Murder Drones.
We'll give you a reason to check out Murder Drones.
Get this.
Get this.
So you are on a alien planet called Copper 9. The entire human population is dead.
Yes.
Let's just pull that bandit up. They're dead.
It's totally extinct.
Completely extinct.
Possibly self-extincted themselves.
Yes. Not a human left on that planet. However, their autonomous worker drones basically formed a society of, well, AIs.
Yeah.
That just sort of went about living their lives.
Yep.
Yeah, they had families. They obviously created new autonomous AIs that would grow up, and we are following one of these. I think it's only been like one generation.
I think it's only been one generation because Nori was kind of Gen 1, right?
Yeah.
And then her child Uzi is essentially the next. And, we have, characters who were, young and stuff that were before then, too. But, yeah.
Yeah. So we're following, basically, a second generation, child here, Uzi, as she is growing up on this planet. However, there's a bit of a snag. You see, a group of disassembly drones have been sent to the planet to remove the autonomous worker drones by any means necessary. Usually violence.
Typically violently eating them.
Yes. The worker drones refer to them as murder drones.
Hence the name.
They go about, they murder any worker drones that they find. The worker drones have kind of locked themselves away in a bunker behind a bunch of really big doors.
Yes.
The doors, which were designed by Uzi's father.
Yes.
So
her dad's kind of, wouldn't say town leader, but definitely
He's Condorman is literally... That's his name, by the way.
That's his name.
Condorman is literally the one guy that's keeping everyone alive, so understandably he has a bit of sway.
He has a bit of sway. As much as you can have a bit of sway when everyone is kind of sarcastic to you anyway.
Yes. And the show has that very, 2010s.
Yeah, it's very 2010s humor.
Humor and, the way the characters talk and act.
There's a lot
Uzi looks like she walked out of Hot Topic.
Yes.
And she acts like she walked out of Hot Topic.
She's got angsty teen issues. And she'll tell you that.
Yeah.
It's that kind of, 2010s kind of self-referential humor.
Yes.
But it's never quite so on the nose it hurts. I mean, episode 1 maybe kind of gets there, if that's not your tea, but keep going if, that's not your tea. It gets a lot better with how it does it.
Yeah.
I was fine with it, but I can understand if, episode 1 it's a little heavy-handed with that, and that's not your thing. Try episode 2, and it gets better.
Yeah. So, Uzi, she is we gotta fight the murder drones.
Mm-hmm.
She is that kind of rebellious teen.
Yep.
And so she comes up with the brilliant idea of building, I think, a rail gun.
What if I shoot them?
Yeah. And so she goes, she sneaks outside to go find some final parts to power up her giant rail gun. And then she meets a murder drone.
Yes. The mascot, essentially, I think, of the series. Serial
Yes.
designation N.
Yes.
Or just N, obviously.
And N is a delight.
He is, yes.
And some, shenanigans, of course, ensue. And, like, Uzi and N kind of form, like, a friendship.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously that's a bit of a conflict because, well, she's a worker drone, he's a murder drone, he's got a bunch of other murder drone friends who would really like to murder her.
Yes.
So yeah, that's basically the like initial gist of the show. And it doesn't stop from there.
The thing is, like, that's really the initial gist early on. The, like, real meat of it really gets into why were the murder drones sent here? And, like, what makes them up? Why are they like that? Why do they eat?
Why do they eat? How do they regenerate?
How do they regenerate?
Because...
That's the thing. They regenerate completely,
Yeah, like... You can blow one of their heads off.
And it'll just reform.
And it will just reform.
And the Murder Drones really goes from being like, like kind of an action adventure to kind of a horror action adventure. A mystery horror. Like that becomes really the meat of it. It really wants you to be like, what the hell is happening? And kind of dive into what's going on in the story.
And obviously the further you get into the series, the more that mystery gets hiked up. Like further and further, because you then start learning why is this like that? How did the planet explode? What particularly happens when a drone dies? To leave some things ambiguous. What is perhaps the first generation's connection to what happened before and what happened to the planet and whatnot? Yeah.
I'm trying to keep things ambiguous for this spoiler-free section. That's all important stuff that Uzi and the gang have to kind of uncover and whatnot.
Yeah. And of course, as Uzi and N try to bridge these two, I can't really say warring factions, because it's really just murder drones murdering worker drones.
Yeah.
They try to bridge this gap between, the two of them and, their respective groups. And that really leads to more conflicts as Uzi starts learning stuff, and maybe some of the murder drones aren't too keen on Uzi learning stuff.
Maybe they know something that, they don't want Uzi or anyone else to know.
Yeah.
And maybe there are some, worker drones. They either know something that they don't want other people to know or have strong feelings about murder drones coming in and out of their home and stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, they're in the name murder drone.
Yeah.
Odds are that just about everyone in this, bunker has had at least someone they know very closely be murdered.
Yeah.
And yes, that does mean that just about everyone has had somebody they know be murdered.
A lot of them don't really react to murder very much either.
I mean, how exactly are you to react when, you're an autonomous AI there, and, for the past however many years, any day now, somebody like, somebody to everybody you know might just spontaneously die.
Yeah.
And also, of course, you got that 20 teens, like, humor of just like, huh, well, that's unfortunate. I think at this point...
There's some like, Invader Zim-esque, like, finally I can die!
Yes.
Explodes. Like, esque humor.
Yes, definitely. I definitely say if you're a fan of, like, Invader Zim or The Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy, definitely watch this show.
Yeah, I think you'll like it. It's not exactly like those, but, like, the humor, well, I wouldn't say it gets crude, because, like, Billy and Mandy did get crude, so it's not crude at all.
No.
Like,
okay, but, like,
but the self-referential shit, yes.
Legitimately, one of the drones goes outside, picks up science, says, my reason for being outside. And then dies.
Yes. There's a lot of that kind of, like, winking at the camera, but, like it's very funny. It's very good.
So I think at this point we should probably get into the spoiler section.
Here's the spoiler zone. So we're going to talk about spoilers for the entire series, including episode 7. If you haven't seen it and you want no spoilers, give it a video pause, go watch the show, and come back or whatnot.
Yeah.
At least give it a chance. If, like, you're listening, give the show at least, a chance. Watch, like, episode 1 and 2 and see if it's your cup of tea.
Yeah. So, if you're still here, hi, welcome to the spoiler section. Cthulhu! Cthulhu, vampires, werewolves, where do we start? Witchcraft.
I love it. I love that, like, we were, like, early on kind of like, this is kind of Lovecraftian, and then the last episode was like, it is!
It sure is Lovecraft. So the obvious, like, thing there is all of the nonsense is caused by a program called Absolute Solver. The exactness of Absolute Solver is still exactly unknown.
Is it a virus? Is it a god? Is it an extra-dimensional being?
Yeah. What we do know is that there's pretty much 2 strains.
Yeah.
There's the direct strain that is caused by the character Sin, who was a drone that was improperly disposed of, was, like, recovered, kind of fixed up a bit, but she never quite was normal.
Yeah.
Those giant air quotes. So, like, she
was a zombie drone.
Yeah, she was a zombie drone.
That's what she was a drone that reactivated after being, shut off, so to speak.
Yeah, being improperly disposed of.
Exactly.
And she develops a loathing for humanity, as you do. To be fair, humanity does treat the drones incredibly poorly.
I think that's fair, but we could assume that. But I'd like to say she never mentions a loathing. She just... I'm ending the world. Bye. Although I think it's a valid assumption.
Yeah.
She was treated so poorly.
Yeah, she was treated the worst of the drones. And pretty much everyone was trying to be like, you should really just kill that thing.
Except N, because he's the best boy in the world.
Sin creates this initial, like, infection, and eats Earth.
Yes.
Good job, Sin. So, again, we're not sure if Sin is, like, an avatar to, like, some sort of other thing, like, that just sort of managed to leak in, or if
she's the source.
If she's the source. Is that just a thing that all drones could aspire to if you shut them on and off repeatedly until, like, they start freaking out?
Yeah. I definitely think there's some otherworldly shit going on because of the last episode, but I'm betting Cthulhu.
I mean, at like the
Betting
same
on Cthulhu.
at the same point, it would be interesting to be like, no, this is the origin of Cthulhu.
That would be
there
interesting,
wasn't
yeah.
a like thing before sin.
That's
Sin
entirely...
is.
I mean,
the
Cthulhu
source.
is a priest.
Yes,
Not
high priest.
A high priest. Like, who is revered as a god. Okay, we won't delve too much into the actual Lovecraft.
We don't need to talk about
Murder
Lovecraft
Drone.
right now.
We don't need to talk about Lovecraft.
So, not talking about Lovecraft, but, so the Earth was doomed. However, the humans on other exoplanets, like Copper-9, the place that our protagonists are from, they're like, okay, so, we gotta figure out how to stop that before it
or maybe
comes here.
They could have also been like, what went wrong on Earth? Let's kind of figure this out, you know?
Yeah. So they purposefully...
They're dead, so they can't speak for themselves.
So they purposefully, like, either recreate or manage to get a hold of the Absolute Solver code.
Yeah.
That, obviously, Sin, like, either created or embodied. Using that code, they infected certain worker drones, which they referred to as witches.
Yeah, or at least Alice referred to them as witches from episode 6, but we're going to refer to them as witches because I think that is a very good term for them.
Yes. Is also an accurate term for them.
Yeah, I think so. She brought a fish.
Aw, Octi brought a fish.
She did. I left it over there, though. She's a little mad. Anyway.
These witch drones, they are being studied to try and figure out how Absolute Solver works and find a cure for it. As if it infects a drone, obviously that drone could then potentially blow up the world.
That's bad.
That's bad. We don't got too many of those, and we just lost Earth.
We don't got too many of those.
And that leads into this first generation and two of our characters' parents. Nori, which is Uzi's mother.
Yes, our main character.
And another drone that we haven't really talked about because everything about her is a spoiler, which is Doll.
Yep.
And her mother...
Yeva,
thank you.
I think that's how you pronounce her name.
Probably being mispronounced, but...
Probably.
But they were two of the drones that were in this experiment. So they both have Absolute Solver in their code. In their code baseline.
Yeah.
And they pass on that code to their daughters. Who also have it, but it's like, it's repressed. It's not expressing itself immediately.
Yeah.
It will. The moment that, the moment that it gets some signal to wake up. Like trying to protect the drone from imminent death.
I remember this time we were rewatching episode 1 and you caught a time that Uzi actually seems to bounce a bullet away from her. That was insane.
Yes.
That was insane. I was like, what? What? Because there's a couple arguments that episode 1 maybe they didn't know exactly what they were doing, and I do think that's true. There's probably things in episode 1 they didn't quite know the direction they wanted to go, but I definitely think they knew what the basic idea they were going.
If you watch episode 1 and 2 back to back, you will immediately be able to tell a number of things they weren't quite sure.
Yeah, exactly. Which is pretty normal because episode 1 is also a pilot.
Yes.
Pilots are notorious for this kind of thing because you are pitching an idea. It doesn't necessarily mean you have everything worked out or that things won't change by the time you're finished with the pilot. Because, that takes a lot of thought and effort and work.
Yeah. And of course, being that self-referential humor, it does then kind of poke at the fact that a few things just sort of get thrown out.
Yeah.
Like the Uzi kind of self-exiled herself.
And then she comes back
immediately.
in episode 2. I think they did walkbacks pretty gracefully.
Yes.
Like, especially since Uzi is an angsty teen, it could feel just like she's throwing a tantrum.
Yeah.
And that she's coming back.
So, like,
I think the only thing that maybe hasn't worked out well is I don't think anyone has forgiven Khan. There probably are people who are like, no, Khan's like generally kind of sweet, but I think majority of people are like, I still haven't forgiven the man for locking Uzi out.
yeah.
Valid.
I think Khan's gonna try and redeem himself
I think
for episode 8.
I think so. I think we're gonna get some Khan redemption, and maybe then I'll forgive him.
Forgive him. Oh.
He already kind of earned some more points for me from what little time he had in episode 7. I was like, oh, he's doing something. You know what?
Yeah.
Good for you, man.
So, like, Uzi and Doll, they are witches that haven't had scientists kind of teaching them and walking them through how to use absolute sulfur. Doll has had it longer than Uzi, though. Like, we literally see in series Uzi, acquire it and struggling to learn how to do it. Doll's definitely had it for at least a year.
Yeah.
And has clearly honed her skills much faster. Not so much faster, but she's much more proficient because she's had more time.
Yeah, I would say that's probably
Uzi catches up.
I was gonna say Uzi kind of catches up pretty fast, but like the thing is that she's struggling with the side effects pretty harsh, and Doll has this shit presumably down to a science. We see like in her apartment she's got shit ready and whatnot, but like Uzi doesn't have that experience that Doll's clearly went through.
Yeah. The other thing though is that the murder drones are infected with Sin's version of absolute sulfur. However, they don't have control over it the way that Uzi or Doll or either of their mothers did.
I think it's like they have like the programming, but they can't do the same things that a witch can do.
Yeah. Because
they don't have that like almost... It's like an iteration or like, a secondary infection, essentially. Like, you're branched under... You can do these things, but Sin is holding all the cards. She's got, all the power.
So, like, absolute sulfur is, as the name implies, it can do basically anything. And it seems to be the implication of that's how, like... Actually, I think it is literally the stated reason. That's how the murder drones regenerate. Likely how they are able to create any sort of weapon out of their hands.
Yeah.
It's just, rearranging and, pulling in matter to, do those things.
It kind of reminds me that I love their use of the word singularity.
Yeah.
And, like, that's a power of the absolute sulfur, which is... A singularity is, of course, an event horizon, a wormhole.
A black hole.
A black hole. And maybe that's where they're pulling this matter from. They could be pulling it from a black hole. They could be teleporting these things in or just generating them.
Yeah.
But singularity is also the word for artificial intelligence has reached.
The point in which, computers outpace,
humans.
Exactly. That an artificial intelligence could start becoming... Could become self-teaching.
Yeah.
And could become then smarter than any person could counter it.
I see what you did, Liam Vickers.
It's a very fun pun.
I love that.
Speaking of which, I do have to mention that the pilot has us meet the pilot. N is the pilot.
It does, that's true.
It's a fun little gag that I realized.
There's a couple little ones like that, I think.
Yeah. Obviously, you then have you have all of that, stuff mixing together. The witches, in particular, they are more akin to Sin.
Yeah.
Uzi and, her mother and Doll and her mother, they are all capable of, shaping, reality a bit around them. aren't, like, plugged into this, like, system that is obviously kind of steering the ship.
Yeah.
So that kind of leads to an interesting point from episode 7, which is that they needed a host for Sin.
Mm-hmm.
The scientists needed a host for Sin that they could test the cure on.
Yeah.
Which happened to be Uzi's mother.
Yeah. Yeah.
And she gets she murders the scientist, naturally.
Naturally.
And Doll's mother actually does hit her with, like, the cure code. But not...
It's a crucifix with a USB. I love that. I mean, if you're in the spoiler zone, you've either seen it or you don't care about spoilers.
Yeah,
it's great.
Like, episode 7 takes place in a freaky little
for
church lab.
Yeah, church lab!
But the thing is that that Sin connection, that host, still had enough time to create a singularity and kind of blew up the planet.
Yep.
Whoops.
And she's definitely in the process of continuing that singularity to blow up the planet.
Yeah. The thing is that, of course, cured of that connection, then, like, that obviously cuts off Sin from using that body. Sin needs now a new way to get onto the planet to blow it up.
Yeah. And eat it. Because she's very hungry.
She's said that she is hungry. And given that she might be a black hole...
Maybe.
Valid.
Who knows? Because Cthulhu is hungry. Cthulhu would like breakfast.
Yes.
Or dinner.
It doesn't matter. Time is an illusion to a robot.
It really is.
So Sin has to get back onto the planet somehow, right?
Yeah.
So Sin sent the murder drones.
Yep.
To go
clear the way.
And Sin comes down in a way. Obviously, again, you're in the spoiler section.
Holy fuck!
Yeah.
That's probably the biggest reveal of that episode was...
horrifyingly dressed up.
That's...
as a human.
Sin is Tessa. More like Sin is wearing Tessa.
Yes.
I know, like, Liam Vickers on Twitter had said that one scene where, like, Tessa Sin attacks Doll, and it's literally just a FNAF jump scare. Like, it's very, FNAF 2 Foxy jumps at you.
Yes.
With, like, the sound effects and everything. Not quite the exact sound effects, they're kind of their own thing. So, that just, like, that really does make me think of Ennard from Sister Location, which, love.
Yes.
That's horrifying, thanks.
Yeah, love it, thanks. So, like...
Michael Afton and Tessa shake hands. Traumatized child department.
Yeah.
Traumatized dead child department.
But, of course, like, Sin is able to use this and use, like, the fact that, like, Uzi is not immune to Sin's influence to get, into her, take control of her body, and ends trying to, like, argue to get, like, Uzi back in control.
I am curious as to whether or not, like, the reason that Uzi and Doll's powers kind of manifest a little differently is that Uzi wants to know, so she's reaching more out to that power. She's reaching more out to Sin, essentially.
That would make sense.
And Doll is, like, cut that off. Like, I don't know if she ever has, like, delved into that, but she's like, no, strong, like, this is where I go, I don't go no deeper. You don't see Doll with the wings or the tail.
Doll is seeking to cure herself and to, like, preserve the planet.
Yeah, this is a curse, for her. And, like, valid, it is a curse.
Yeah.
But, like, I wonder if, like, that's the case in that.
Yeah, I'd be curious. Like, I mean, that would make sense, though.
Yeah, right? So, like, En's reaching out to Uzi.
Yeah, En's reaching out to
the truth.
Does manage to get, does manage to get enough through to Uzi that Uzi's able to fight off Sin.
Through teen angst.
Yeah. But
I love them.
Enough before, like, Sin beats the ever-loving S out of N, like,
yeah,
repeatedly.
I mean, and Uzi wasn't great off either, but yeah.
Yeah.
Poor N. At least he can regenerate.
Yeah, at least both of them can regenerate.
Can someone please do a tally of how many limbs got cut off in that fight? They regrew, like, immediately, but, like, there were several times people got their arms chopped off.
I mean, like... And the important reason that they would get their arms chopped off is because that's where they use their abilities, whether weapons or absolute solver from.
Exactly. That's like their casting. Semantic casting.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, concluding with Uzi is now free of, like, Sin's influence, but at the same time is also, like, kind of next to her.
Yeah, I think so.
That's a bit of a
she
problem.
fell through a singularity. A lot of people I noticed, and maybe I'm wrong, but a lot of people I know seem to think that the planet is destroyed there and it's like a time skip. I don't think so. I strongly think what happens, she fell through a singularity.
Yeah.
Basically a wormhole. And she is now outside the planet, and we're probably going to be ticking down to doomsday at this point.
Yeah.
You know. I don't think it's going to be a time skip situation. I think the planet would be more in pieces if that was the case.
Yeah. I mean, also, like that would kind of present some problems and questions of, like, I mean... The conclusion on the other side on Copper 9 then would be like, hollow, you know?
Yeah.
A bit ironic given the planet is currently hollow.
What do you mean there's a church down there?
No, below the church is a hole.
It's hollowed ground with a hollow ground with a hole in it.
Yes.
Well, you know what? I think there was, like, a note that said the church was there and the scientists don't know why, so it's probably Cthulhu.
Could be.
Synthulu. Solver Thulu.
Like, a point in the Sin being a avatar, but not the actual, like, entity.
Yeah, theory camp.
Would be that... Sin isn't destroyed with Earth. Like, that body is still present.
Yeah, she's currently in Tessa's body.
So it's not like she became the black hole.
That's true.
She opened a black hole and ripped apart the Earth. She is now trying to open a black hole to rip apart Copper 9.
Yeah. And presumably the next planet after that.
Yeah.
You know.
So, like... That would kind of lead some credence to the, like, something is acting through her. Because,
possibly.
Like, if she is eating the planets with the black hole, then, I mean, she's not physically eating them, then. Yeah. You know?
I can see what you're saying. She's a puppet on a string in this theory camp.
Maybe less a puppet on a string, more of like a hand puppet.
A hand puppet.
Like that,
wearing another hand puppet.
Yeah. Like that is the entity. There is no Sin. Or like the...
There is only Solver.
Yeah, or the amount of Sin that is left is very little.
Yeah. I think that's valid. I don't think there's enough information to make a solid jump. I think it could go either way at this point. But I think that's a valid theory.
Thank you.
That you pitched.
Any final thoughts? So we've somehow managed to talk about this for like 40 minutes already.
Murder Drones team, you're awesome. You're amazing. Keep doing amazing work.
Yes.
Good work to all of you. Good work to Liam Vickers. Good work to the Glitch team.
We cannot wait for episode 8.
It's going to kill me, I'm sure. I love that episode 7 did like referenced, I think, almost every episode that came before it in some fashion.
Yes.
I fucking love that, especially for a penultimate episode. That kind of shit is so tasty. Like, love.
Yes.
Much love. Any final thoughts from you?
I think I've shared most of my thoughts. Like, we could easily sit here for a couple hours and just discuss, theories and break down
theories and
ideas.
Characters and
like, I have even mentioned
and...
like Lizzie.
You haven't mentioned Lizzie. You haven't mentioned
Thad.
the fact that they brought Thad back for this episode. I kind of appreciate due to how kind of important he was early on, and then he kind of dips. And Lizzie becomes more important. And not that Lizzie's central, but I mean,
it's tertiary character.
Yeah, I love her, but I love that. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, we could easily talk about this for hours, literally going through every episode, but we don't really have the time to do that right now.
Mm-hmm. Any predictions for episode 8? How about that? That's a good way to end. Any predictions for episode 8?
Predictions for episode 8. Okay, so my particular thoughts are that Khan, Thad, and Lizzie are going to get into a big fight with
Jay.
Jay. That fight is going to get interrupted by N. And it's going to be this really awkward moment where everyone's just kind of awkwardly standing around, guns pointed at each other.
I would love that. That'd be funny.
And N's going to have to try to explain to Jay, what, the situation is that, Tessa isn't Tessa, that's Sin, and that Uzi fell down a pit. They gotta try and save her, and, before Jay gets a chance to make a decision that Khan's gonna blow her head off, Uzi did to N episode 1.
What if she comes back and she's also kind of got the damage that N has, and so she helps out?
Yeah. Just goes full circle.
Just full circle it from episode 1. That'd be funny.
That is my current only thing I could think that might happen.
Yeah.
Because I have no idea what's going to happen with Uzi and Sin and Absolute Solver.
I think I am in the same boat because I don't know if this is going to be the only season or if they have a season 2. Because if they have a season 2, which I would love, by the way, I understand if you're not going to do it if it's a self-contained story and stuff, but I would love that. My thought could be that maybe Sin gets away or, is destroyed, but then there's, the creeping, Absolute Solver out there who might try to target other planets or something, or, whatnot.
Yeah.
That would be, my only thought is, how you could possibly sequel bait it or continue it for sequel bait's wrong because it's a series.
Yeah.
Continue this story to another season. Because the other thing is, how are they going to deal with Jay? And I think you've pitched basically a pretty solid possibility. Because it's either they fight Jay or they talk to Jay, and I think that's a fairly funny, you can do both.
Yeah. It's set up that a fight is about to happen.
Here's my prediction. We will find V. She's somehow still around. Because I feel we couldn't finish the story without her. We started with V, I feel we gotta finish with V.
Yeah.
I could be wrong, but, I that's my... Okay, I'm gonna throw that's my hat. That's my theory. That's my...
V lives.
V lives somehow. Or she's got a backup or something. Or maybe she's missing some. Well, no, she'd regenerate, wouldn't she?
V comes out.
She's
with
she's the clone, not the clone. She's the little drone
core.
heart, the little core, with the glasses on.
She's got
the glasses.
I was gonna say she comes out with one of the raptors still chewing on
Oh
her.
no!
It's just I lived.
When she's riding a raptor. I lived, bitch, and now these are my bitches. They're my pets. And Lizzie's just wow. Wow. Girl.
Have I ever told you? Lizzie's, have I ever told you how cool you are?
Yes.
V's just like, I'm always happy to hear it again.
I'm always happy to hear it again.
Jay is just confused.
Jay is confused.
Well, we do got to stop there.
Alright.
I hope you've enjoyed. Do watch Murder Drones.
If you haven't, you got to the end here and you haven't watched it, go watch it. Check it out.
If you have already watched it,
Go
maybe watch it again. It's really good. We've watched it like 3 times at least.
At least I definitely watched it on my own again too because I was doing some art.
Motts has watched it like 6 times.
I have, yes.
Hey, we'll see you next time.
Bye-bye.